Now, immediately after I got home from my bike ride, just now I had to run to the grocery store to get some food, and I had this idea suddenly pop into my mind that we'd be able to open up this channel's themes a bit more using my very old ideas indeed. And I had a lot of train of thought going on as I drove home, but it's not a surprise to anyone that now that I've reached home, I don't really have any ideas left for my video that I'm about to make. And I was considering scripting it and cutting it to little pieces, but that would have been unwise since I'll just use I'll just let my mind wander and we'll see whatever pops into my head will probably be of some use because you'll never learn to speak unless you speak. The blah blah blah. The title of this video will be Overgrown Children, as I somewhat perceive myself as being a prime example of one. Uh, the reason I'd like to discuss this today is the sole reason of um, considering overgrown children, and the fact that I'm 31 years old now and I've still not assumed certain mindsets and responsibilities that come with adulthood. Uh, and I'm just wondering why this is, because it would be so easy to point a blaming finger towards, for example, society or bullying or anything like that, but honestly, to me it seems that there is no sole reason, nor is there any single cause for this. It can be a sum of experiences and perhaps the environment you're growing up in. But the way this manifests itself in my mind, at least, is when you think of overgrown children, you will probably think of the guys who look back to their teenage years or even earlier back or even earlier back, like in a sense you'd experience some let's say Saturday morning cartoons and you'd probably have a nostalgic seizure or something like that. And this is not what I'm talking about, because I get nostalgic all the time, so it's not really about that, but rather it's about taking something and probably you'd probably consider me, or rather let's take a step back because this is getting a bit more complicated for me to really it would be a complicated thing even if I was talking in Finnish, so you'll have to give me some slack here. Let's consider the example of society and whether or not you meet the society's approval. When you find a job and do things that are commonly accepted as something that you strive for and seek to fulfill some self-evident goals in your life, for example, like finding a family or establishing a family and making something out of yourself career-wise. That would be the main things that we strive for. But there are still a few questions here that I'm not necessarily avoiding employment or finding a job, because right as we speak I'm going to this course of sorts that of course are aimed at people who have been tossed aside, not necessarily tossed aside, but somehow drifted away from the mainstream, and they are striving to get us back on our feet, so to speak. And I'll be fixing computers at a recycle center, and we'll see how that goes, because there will be a lot of coffee and sitting around involved, and I'm hoping it'll be a good experience for me. But the reasons that we strive to attain these things, like a job, a career, money, wealth, a family, those things seem irrelevant when you never really grew up in your mind, that is. But then again, you don't really get the same kicks from the things that children do anymore. But I also don't get the kicks from having a decent job and getting married or whatever. So you're stuck in a limbo of sorts where nothing feels like anything, and that's what I'm talking about when I try to comment on the subject matter of overgrown children. And that's how I feel about things that people have told me, that there is definitely some potential in you, whatever you'd aim to do. But then again, when you see no point in anything, this would be much easier to you'd be much better off labeling this as depression, but I'm not ready to hop in and make that claim of myself, because it just feels like there's no point in finding a career, attaining wealth, or anything like that. And to me it seems like I never really got a hold of that particular mindset of growing up. And I like to believe that many adults, such as myself, would probably feel the same way, but they are more adept at masking it in a way that they still seem like they are moving, like they have a purpose. They think that they are making something out of themselves, and to me the ultimate goal is of course to be happy. But when it's a difficult question for me from all sides to approach it at any angle, and when I try to tackle the affair or things or mindsets, whatever, in English, it becomes a bit too much of a hassle for me, and I'm hoping that you'll have patience, because I'm not gonna script this, and I'm not gonna edit this in any way. And it probably seemed a lot more logical on paper than it did on when spoken out loud. So in retrospect, I would have been better off scripting this, but what the hell, there's no point in going back anymore. But that's probably the reason. My Finnish viewers know this situation a lot better, because they've learned a lot about me through my Finnish videos. But you'd be probably right to assume that I'm estranged from working, and I don't really like the concept of working, but there are still a lot of things I'd imagine I'd enjoy doing, but there's still the matter of finding a point in attaining massive amounts of wealth, or even reasonable amounts of wealth, or even a flat TV. But something that people keep telling me is the question of independent living, and finding independence and not having a guardian looking out for you and paying whatever you need, your living costs and such. And that is something that is worth doing, just to repay your parents for whatever they've gone through a lot raising you, and it would be a good thing to see them be proud of me, but then again, that's probably the only logical reason I find at the moment to keep pressing forward, to find a job and whatever. So this is probably the main question I have about things, that when you are basically an adult but you don't feel like doing adult things, and then you look back at childish things and they don't seem relevant either. So here I am, between two worlds, or two levels of maturity, so to speak, and I'm not sure how to break through to either side. Either you are a child or you are not, but I'm imagining that being a child forever would probably be detrimental to whatever you're striving for, and independence is probably the only thing I can come up with, considering the things that most people find enjoyable. And I'm hoping that you won't interpret this video as being complaining or whatever, complaining about depression, complaining about having to work or whatever, because it's just exploration. I really don't feel all that depressed, but there's still so many questions about this, so I'll leave you to it. Or rather, I'll think about rewriting this video in a more clear sense, because the thoughts that I had originally planned didn't come out all that well. So I'll have to get back to you on the matter of overgrown children. And I seem, when I was taking a shower, I kept thinking about overgrown adults, but to me the term is overgrown children, as I never basically got to grow up, and there's no one to blame really, not even myself. So there you have it. We've got this conversation open now to my one English subscriber, so have fun doing whatever. And I got to start cleaning up this mess, because I had to toss everything away just to get this video filmed, because there's only one room in the house that allows me to videotape anything or record. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again at some point in some format. Bye bye.